if I like this view. Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I'm Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Did you know Christmas is in like 3 months? October, November, December. 3 months. Kind of excited. I really like Christmas time and I could probably change my lights and put something different up. I am sitting today. I don't think I like this lighting setup, but I wore cute shoes to a wedding yesterday, so my feet hurt today. The choices we make, right? So last week I finished 3 books. I did, and I was really excited about that. But I'm going to do my reviews, my wrap-ups, like on Mondays, I think, at least for a while. However long this lasts, we will have to see. Because I did a wrap-up like last week or the week before, and it was like 30 minutes. Because I read 21 books in 2 months, and I had to talk about every book. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about these in my Monday thing. So there. I feel like I am in the middle of like 20 different books right now. But I like to hear that everybody else is doing the same thing. So maybe I'm not as weird as I thought. So the first book I finished last week was The Librarian of Auschwitz by Antonio Itaburi, which again, not saying it right, but I love this book. I totally gave it 5 stars. It was completely amazing. I read it in like 2.5 or 3 days, something like that. I picked it up on Saturday and then I finished it Monday afternoon and I loved it. I cried like 40 times. I actually underlined things, which I'm sure I'm not going to find it now. I never underline a book. Like, I don't annotate. I don't know how to annotate. It's not my thing. I generally read for pleasure. I don't read to analyze a book. But holy stars, I love this book. Basically, it's about a girl who is a librarian at Auschwitz. Exactly like it sounds. This is a book that is based part in history. So it's based on a true story, but it has fictional elements. And then at the end, they actually told me what part was fiction, what part wasn't. And it was just great. Like, it was a great story. It was a point of view of Auschwitz that I didn't know was a thing. And it was really good, and the story was really, really good. I am a sucker for World War II stuff, though, so I'm sure that's part of it, but I absolutely love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I loved the characters. I loved the story. I loved the storytelling. I loved how it almost seemed like it was a humdrum thing, and then you realize, oh yeah, we're in a death camp about that. I loved at the very end they had a what happened to so-and-so thing. There was so much about this book that was so good. If you like an important read, this is one to read. If you like a book about World War II, this is the one. If you like a book with good writing that's like a little tender-hearted, but it's still going to make you like cry like a menopausal woman, this is your winner chicken dinner. I really liked this book. It is a book I will read again. It is a book I will loan to my friends, some of them, and I loved this book. So good. So good. I also finished Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, which I don't have here because I had to give it back to my sister-in-law, which is fine. And I think I gave it like a 3.0, maybe like a 3.2. It was slow moving and it was a lot of, I feel like, setup for other books. I feel like 80% of this book was a setup for the trilogy or series or whatever it is with Fritz. And I did love the Fool. There's a Fool in there, and I love the Fool, and I loved Fritz. Fritz, he kind of grew on me after a while. I didn't dislike him. I felt like he was bland, and he's our main character. I'm like, that's a problem, to be a bland main character. In addition to which, the names were really weird to me. Like, the names were like charity, kindness, patience, and goodness, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to keep all of these straight. How many royal brothers were there again? And part of that took me some time. I felt like it was just slow moving, and it was like, this is Fritz when he's 5. This is Fritz when he's 10. Now Fritz is 11. And like nothing that really mattered was happening, and I was bored by it. I really was. Now, I do think I will continue on the series, partly because my sister-in-law said it's a good series, and partly because you don't become a Robin Hobb without having some good stuff. So maybe I was just not in the mood for a slow burning book. Maybe I just need to not be in the middle of a ridiculously long book called Jonathan Strange, Mr. Norrell, and then I might be in more of a mood for it. I don't know. Usually if I'm reading a long book or a slow book, which this is the movie, by the way, I will read something quick and fun like this. I know, not fun, but still, because it'll kind of take me away from the slower book. But I did read this quickly and I tore right through it. But Assassin's Apprentice just wasn't quick. It was slow to me, and I will continue on, like I said. I don't know when, but I will. I'll give it another shot. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't something that I'm dying to get to. Then the last book I finished was Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and this is the miniseries, which I think is 2 discs, so I think it's like 7 episodes. I don't know. I haven't watched this yet. I'm going to watch this week. I am. Maybe I need to tell you guys the stuff I'm going to watch too this week and not just read. But I'm going to watch this week. I finished the book yesterday. What day is it? Yes, I finished the book yesterday. And I think I gave it a 2.5 personally and a 3.0 technically. My problem with this book is it was slow. And somebody had said that this was like kind of Jane Austen slow, but I think I like Jane Austen slow. But I also don't feel like Jane Austen is super slow. And maybe it's just because I've read Pride and Prejudice like 17 times. But they said it was like Jane Austen slow. And I would have to say it was like Dickens slow. Like I kept thinking, oh my goodness, this is like Dickens writing when I read it. And I'm not a huge Dickens fan. I think the only book I've actually read in its entirety is A Christmas Carol, and it's short. I don't think that I have read anything else by him. I have read Cliff's Notes before. So that happened. So basically this is a book that takes place during the Napoleonic Wars in England. And so like 1800s, and it's a alternate history where magic is a thing, but magic in England has kind of gone away, and so now all they have are theoretical magicians, not magicians who actually do crap. So you have Mr. Norrell, and he's like bossy and selfish and extremely narcissistic. Like he thinks he is everything, and he deserves all the books, and he steals all the books, and it makes me so mad. I'm like, what if I wanted a book? You're a jerk. He is a jerk. And then like a third of the way into the book, we meet Jonathan Strange. And he starts out okay, but then he turns into a bag of douche as well. And I'm just like, I want to like our 2 main characters. Why can't I like them? I didn't really like them. I did like Arabella, who is Strange's wife. I thought she was great and not in the book nearly enough. When she was in the book, I was actually like, all right, this is great. And then she's gone, and I'm like, aw, bring her back. I liked her. I also liked Mrs. Pole, who's in the whole book, but I would have liked more of her as well. And then the characters I did like, I liked like 3 of the side characters. I liked Stephen Black, who he could debatably be a main character too. I liked Childermas, and even when Childermas, he's Norrell's like assistant, and sometimes he's like, I'm creepy and you don't know what I'm thinking. Even when he was possibly like bad, I still liked him. And then sometimes he's possibly good, and I still liked him. So I will say he was a well-written character. I liked him, whether he was good or bad. I was always interested in what he was doing, and I enjoyed things surrounding him. And I liked Vinculus, who was kind of a rogue magician, because Norrell's like, nobody else can practice magic, only me. And Vinculus is like, yeah, I'm going to do what I want to do. So good luck with that. So those are 3 of the side characters. If you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're probably going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about, which is okay. But I will watch this next week and let you guys know. Oh, and the other thing, the villain of the story, who is supposed to be the man with the thistledown hair, which I think Charity and I decided it's like kind of a kinky silver hair, I think. He was supposed to be the villain of the book, and I feel like he was a villain in the book. And even though I think he was supposed to be like the villain, he was not the worst villain. There was a Mr. Sedungus, and he was the worst villain. He was deplorable. He was horrible in all ways, and whenever that guy was around, like my skin crawled, and I did not like him. So maybe she was a good writer because she made me feel things, but the book was just too slow. It took too long to get everywhere. There were too many passages about magicians helping with war and people doing this. There's too much slow. I feel like she could have probably cut the book in half, and I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. And I feel bad saying that. People love this book, but it just was too slow for me. So moving on to Tome Infinity and Beyond. Last week I finished nothing with Tome Infinity and Beyond. I was finishing up these other 3 books, and I thought I'd have more time, and I just didn't have more time. So I was reading Time Ships by Stephen Baxter, and I got about 80 pages into it. Oh, it is here. I was gonna say it's upstairs. I was reading Time Ships by Stephen Baxter, which is like a sanctioned sequel to The Time Traveler, and I'm like 80 pages in, and it's good, but it's a little slow, and I'm just afraid I'm not going to have time to read the other 400 and whatever pages by the end of the week. Saying that basically this 2-week readathon has now become a 1-week readathon for me. So I'm switching from Ship A to Ship D, and I'm going to read Jurassic Park. I did start this. I'm like 25 pages in, so I barely started it. I think I will get through this one pretty quickly, though. I am also reading Antimorphous Vischer. This one I'm like halfway done with. It's a middle grade book about aliens, and I'm about halfway through it. I only just picked it up this afternoon. So this one I will be reading and getting done this week, no prob. And I have Illuminae, which I took the cover off because I was reading it. And I am a solid 175 pages into this book. So like a third of the way in, and it is getting better. I initially only gave it like 30 pages and I was like, blah. It is getting better. There's still a little like, I see the interest right now. I'm just not overwhelmed with interest. I need to have more interest, but I'm confident I will get there by the end of the book at some point. I also will be finishing my week with The Martian by Andy Weir, and then I'll probably watch the movie because I like to read books and watch movies. If you haven't picked up on that already, I do that a lot. This will be the last one I read because according to the Tome Infinity and Beyond, the last book you read is the planet you're going to end on, and I want to end up on Uranus. Only because it's called Uranus. Seriously, 12-year-old sense of humor right here. So I'm excited about this one. It's about a guy who gets stuck on Mars. It's supposed to be funny, which I'm looking forward to, and well written. So yay for that. And then the two books that I haven't touched at all this week that I'm like halfway through would be Save the Date and How We Love, which I do have to give this back this week, so it would behoove me to finish it. But I think I have till Thursday for that one. So that is my wrap up of the books I finished this last week and the books I'm planning on reading this coming week. I'm hoping I can get those 4 Tome Infinity and Beyond books read because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I'm actually enjoying this challenge. I enjoyed picking out my books. I enjoyed everything about the Tome Infinity readathon. I hope we do it again. I don't know if they're going to do it in the spring of the fall or just in the fall, but I'm really hoping they do it again. And then I will learn to not have 3 books going into that week because I really wanted to read like 6 or 7 sci-fi books, but that doesn't appear to be happening at this time. Also, I finished The World's Worst Puzzle. I think I put it on my Instagram. It was terrible. It was of the movie poster Wicked, and it took forever. Like the pieces, all pieces fit together. They were all like this size, same size as a different puzzle, same size, and the only difference was the shape of the piece, but everyone fit into all of them, so you had to find 2, and then you had to, it was the worst, and it took me like 3 months to do it, but I finished it, and then I started a new one. I started a Star Wars one. This should be fun. But that is it, you guys. Feel free to comment down below if you've read any of the 3 books I finished, and I would love to know your thoughts on those, especially Strange and Aural, because I feel like I have thoughts about it. And like there are things I like, but there are things I didn't like, and I don't know. It was just too long. I feel like it would have just been better if it wasn't so long. Also comment if you have read any of the books that I'm planning on reading. I'd love to know your feedback on those as well. I post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll plan on seeing you guys soon. Goodbye.